Hey, how's it going? Back again with another pod. It's been a while, but it's good to be back on this Tuesday, November 3rd. I got Reese and Bob with me, and we're going to talk some football. We're exactly halfway in the NFL season. We just finished week 8, so we're going to do a midway check in on everything that's going on in the NFL season. Before we do that, I'd like to remind you guys about our socials. You can follow us on all of our social media pages at DJ Sports Podcast. And be sure to reach us for any emails, questions you have at our email, djsportspod@gmail.com. And let's get into the beer segment. What do you guys have for us today? Bob, I don't know, you don't have one, but Reese.
Yeah, I'm out on this one. Didn't have enough time to grab a beer.
Bob's going straight edge on us today.
I got some nice alkaline water for you guys.
Fancy.
Pulls out the biggest gallon of water.
Yeah, that's extreme.
Hey, wait, how much water is in that, Bob?
Full gallon.
How long did it take you to finish that, Bob?
We're about to see. It's my first time buying it, so.
Nice.
Make a lot of trips to the restroom. I got the offshoot beer co. The Relax Hazy IPA. I like my IPAs, so I've actually had this one. I'd get this one in it's actually sold like on draft at all the places like Yard House and stuff like that. It's pretty good beer.
Nice.
It's like one of my favorite hazy IPAs for sure.
So yeah, today nothing crazy. I got it truly.
Oh, wow.
Lemonade hard seltzer, black cherry lemonade. Let's open this up. Bad boy up.
Bobby jealous.
Yeah, both those look too good right now.
Bob, I had another one of these too. I could have given it to you. Have you had this one before, Bob? The Relax Hazy IPA?
Show it on the screen a little more.
It's called the Offshoot Relax. That's normally
labeled. No, I haven't. I haven't.
If you ever see that one, I feel like you would like it because you like your IPAs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would like that one. For anyone who likes IPAs, it's pretty good one.
So this is actually pretty good. I had I think it was the strawberry lemonade or the original lemonade, and it was really bad. It was the same black can, and it was like really, really bad. I hated every second of it, but this is actually pretty good. Black cherry is like the White Claw black cherry is really good. I think that's one of the best flavors. So this is like a nice little combo of lemonade and black cherry.
I think that's one of my favorites too.
It was black cherry lemonade that you're having?
Yeah, this is black cherry lemonade.
Black cherry lemonade. I don't know if I've ever had that one.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like a little mix of both of these flavors. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this. Truly,
I'll just say not our most intense beer segment, but
yeah. Well, next time we promise we'll put more effort into this.
Oh, we'll have good beer for our next one, I promise.
Reese, why don't you talk about your uncle's situation?
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to get like more into it when we actually have his beers, but I don't know if I've told you this, Bobby, but my uncle is a brewmaster in Oklahoma, so he's like he's always been like he's been brewing beer for 50 years now probably, and he's kind of jumped around from place to place. Yeah, he's got a lot of friends in the industry and stuff, and I just saw him this past weekend or 2 weekends ago. And he came to town and he had just crates and crates of all of his beer. He drove all of it down here. So I basically have like 6, maybe 7, like 4-packs for us to try out, like of all different kinds.
Damn. So, you should have mentioned that instead of just saying, "Hey, Bob, come through. I have a few beers."
I know. It was the plan to do it today, but then I was just like,
that's right. Yeah, we're gonna do it next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll drop it off your guys' house and we can get that next time. But that's gonna be our move for the next couple beer reviews. Is a little bit of a insider knowledge. It's called Twisted Spike Brewing Co. in Oklahoma City. So
Twisted Spike, okay.
Yeah, so we'll get into that on the next beer segment for sure. Since this one is lacking.
I'm excited to try that one out. Be sure to stay tuned for that one.
Mm-hmm.
For all of our beer aficionados.
That's our hook.
All right, so let's get into the football. We're gonna start off with the AFC and the AFC East. Right now, the Buffalo Bills are sitting at 6-2, first in the division. They just got a huge win against the Patriots, where Cam fumbled right in the red zone, I believe, or it was at least field goal range, and he fumbled the football and basically cost them the game. Let's just talk about Cam for a second. Like, he started off the season really hot. The Patriots have now lost 4 in a row. What do you guys think is going on right now?
I'm worried about him, but at the same time, I think everything that he's been saying in his press conferences shows that, like, and especially with like the coaching staff that he has, that he can turn this ship around, and they can actually like I hate saying this, but they can make like a little bit of like a push if Cam gets his act together, because as you said, like, the biggest issue with them has been his play and the direct like result of turnovers from him, and his like, whether it be bad throws or not executing on offense and stuff like that. And if Cam Newton can be the guy that we saw in the first 2 weeks and he can get back to that, I think that they can get out of this little bit of a disaster that they're in. Like, everyone's kind of like counting them out and saying Bill's finished and, you know, Tom's the GOAT, all that kind of stuff. And I want to pump the brakes on that and just say that I don't think it's done yet. They've played a couple tough teams and they've had just some like really, really bad performances. So I don't know. I think it's too soon to like call it quits on this team. It's always going to be too soon with Bill Belichick at the helm. So
Yeah, and just looking at their schedule, they have the Jets, Ravens, Texans, Cardinals, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, Bills, Jets. So not the easiest schedule coming up.
Yeah, a lot of teams with good defenses.
And I just checked who they lost to, those 4 in a row, and a tough one against the Bills. They lost bad against the 49ers, which was obviously atrocious. And then pretty much other than those 49ers and the Broncos game back to back, like, I mean, you can't get mad about them losing against the Chiefs with the way that they played against the Bills. That was expected and stuff. So, I mean, this team is one bad performance away from 3-4 and not really being in the shape that they're in right now, sitting at 2-5. Like, it just like on paper looks so bad. So I don't know. I think they can turn it around. Like you said, they got the Jets.
Twice.
Yeah, we got a couple tough games after that too. But I don't know, man. If Cam Newton just stops playing like a bum, then he can lead this team to at least be like somewhat competitive and not be a disaster.
Bob, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I'm worried about Cam too, but I think I'm worried for totally different reasons. I think he's honestly played pretty well considering what he's had and what he's trying to pull off, and like taking over Tom Brady's spot and, you know, succeeding that Patriot quarterback spot. You know, that's obviously a bunch of pressure. And week 1, he played against Seattle. You know, he played hot. Their whole team got COVID the week after, and they weren't able to practice, and he wasn't able to play. So I think him not playing well is more to do with like the people he has around him. They wasted a couple of draft picks on wide receivers that aren't turning out, and more on just like, you know, not having continuity on that team that's kind of on the coaching staff. I think moving forward, I think they definitely have a good spot, a good scenario for them to bring it back and, you know, get it into maybe a wild card spot, because it's just like small things here and there that's really hurting them. Cam is turning over the ball, that is true, but he looks good enough to where it's just like, you know, rare plays that he turns over the ball. I don't think that's indicative of his true play.
It's kind of like the same shit that we've always said about the Patriots, where they don't really have like the right pieces around. Like, they don't really have the right pieces in place to like win, but the brilliance of like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady always saved them, and Tom Brady's ability to like lead an offense like really like saved their ass. And now that Cam Newton's there, and Cam Newton is more susceptible to like these mistakes or something simple like a little this year, like a COVID positive test, it's like that's going to be all the difference for a team like this, right?
Yeah, I mean he does lead. I mean he in this last week he was leading them, got him all the way to like the 12-yard line. It was a good run. He got him to like the 4-yard line. He just obviously coughed the ball up, but he's still moving the ball on an offense that has three running backs that's non-existent in my opinion. So it's he's their lead rusher, and I think they're. I don't know. I wish they would pass the ball a little more. His arm doesn't seem as bad as what people are trying to make it out to be, but
I
Yeah,
just don't
moving
think they
forward.
trust their weapons out there.
yeah, it's not exactly
True.
like they have the best weapons, and it's just Brady was
Mhm.
Brady, so he could make it work. But
Mhm.
you know, not everyone's Brady.
I mean, it's
Um,
it's not even that bad of a performance against a pretty good Bills team, too. Or like given the performance, it's not that bad of a result, is what I should say. Against
Exactly. Yeah.
against a pretty solid Bills or a really solid Bills team. So
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You guys have anything to say about Tua and the Dolphins? It was kind of a weird game. The Rams just got destroyed on defense. So many turnovers, but he only had like 98 yards, one touchdown. So it's kind of hard to gauge him. But what did you guys see?
Uh, I mean, he doesn't look like he's really scared at the moment. He got hit like we all saw in the first play by not the great Aaron Donald. Um, Came back and then got a tutty pass to Devontae Park in a really small, tight pocket. So he looks like a gamer. He just has to learn from the opportunities he has right now. I that Dolphins team is like as a whole, special teams and defense looks solid. So what are they sitting at 4-3?
4-3, yeah, second
going
place.
through second
Second
and
in the
median.
AFC.
Yeah,
That's
I mean they could definitely be a wild card team.
exactly.
My
So
my biggest thing about the Dolphins, I mean, even going back to last year when the the front office was tanking and getting rid of everybody, like that coaching staff was rock solid and they were looking good. And now that they finally are getting pieces here and there to potentially win games and seeing what they're doing with Tua, like I didn't love the whole benching of Fitzpatrick and the timing of it and stuff with him playing so hot, but I'm going to assume that these guys who watch Tua every single day in practice know a little bit more than we do. And he was clearly ready and he's got a good guy in the room. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think Dolphins can be a little bit of a fun story this year, but at the same time, we can't talk about it until it happens. And
mhm.
that first performance was more of a defense and more of the coaching. But I still think like that says a lot moving forward for them, you know?
Yeah,
Like we know Tua can potentially play. So
yeah. I mean, like you said, they watch him every day in practice, and it was like a surprising decision for us on the outside. But I mean, yeah, they obviously have the reasons, and they must believe that he could take the team to the next level, which is why they drafted him so early. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like part of me disagrees with the decision with how well he's playing, but also like I like that they like took this bold step forward. They're like, you know what, we're gonna see what we have in this young guy and see like if he can really take our team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the AFC North. Steelers are sitting at 7-0, the only undefeated team in the league. They just came off a huge win against the Ravens on the road. Um, we're gonna get to the Steelers, but you guys know I like my stats, so I'm gonna throw some numbers at you guys. Um, as a starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson is 25-5, has a 25-5 record. Um, three of his losses have come to the Chiefs. What and one of them is against the Steelers. So how much do you guys uh, hold this narrative of Lamar just can't get done against good teams?
Ooh.
I think that holds some truth. If you look at him just on the eyeball test, he hasn't really played to his true potential in those key games, missing some huge passes. Uh, but I still think like Lamar Jackson that like moving forward he could be that guy. All these guys who are like hating on him now are guys that don't think that he's not that guy, and that's just who he is. But I think he's growing from this and he's learning from these past games, and I don't be surprised to see something different in the future.
Yeah, I mean he's still really young. Um, he's averaging about like 208 passing yards a game, so it really seems like his throwing hasn't really improved from last year. What do you think, Reese?
I mean, what I was gonna say to that like initial question was just like those are the two best coaches in the league, and I think like at the end of the day they've just kind of probably figured out Lamar Jackson. Like Mike Tomlin and Andy Reid have just figured him out, and the rest of these guys don't really know how to stop that dual threat quarterback. But like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to throw that all on like I think Lamar, like the more we talk about this, the more it's going to become a thing and the more he's going to get like nervous before these big games, you know, like early on in his career, he's a young quarterback just losing big games. And that's nothing that anybody's going to talk about. But because he's this like MVP candidate and stuff like that, it becomes a little bit of a narrative. And then he's in what, like his third year, and then all of a sudden he loses another game against a good team and everybody starts talking about it again. It's kind of that like a little bit of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where every single time he plays these good teams, he's going to be thinking about it, and then he's going to have that fumble that's going to turn into a touchdown and be the difference, something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those stats are fun and it's fun to talk about and stuff, but I don't think that it takes away from Lamar Jackson, and it doesn't take away from his ability to potentially win that game in the future. You know, like if it's like, say, an AFC championship game, if he's playing at the top of his game going into that game, I wouldn't say, oh, but he plays bad against good teams. You know, like I wouldn't put that against him, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is technically only his second full season as starter because he came in halfway 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
still a lot to improve on. How do you guys feel about the rest of the offense, like the running backs and the receiving core?
Their running backs are solid. I like all three of their running backs: Dobbins, Edwards, Ingram. They're all like averaging like 4 yards if my stats are correct. But their wide receivers, they're not really creating that much space that they did last year, and Lamar's having to throw it in tighter windows. So if they can create some type of space, one guy can really show to be that lead wide receiver that Lamar can like trust. Mark Andrews is definitely a top tight end, but if they can find that one wide receiver, I think Lamar would benefit greatly.
Maybe someone like Will Fuller.
Yeah, too bad the trade deadline ended today, right?
It ended, I believe, at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like really big moves to really speak about.
The Packers were trying to make a move with the Texans for Will Fuller, but they apparently there was like management issues. They didn't know if he was worth the short-term risk.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the ESPN headline. It says Matt LaFleur says the team was on the same page for not trading for receivers. So I guess the ownership and the coaches both were happy with the receiving core, I guess, that the Packers have.
Okay.
I still worry about, like you said, like the only thing missing from the Ravens. I mean, you got one of the most elite rushing attacks, and you have the most elite rushing attack in the league if all goes well. But nobody's worried about the passing attack at all right now, especially with Lamar Jackson not playing at the top of his game. So until they get that threat on the outside, it's probably not going to bode well for them. So.
I just worry when it comes down to like the playoffs. We saw last year, the Titans took care of business on the road. Like, if they see the Steelers again, like I don't know if the way the Steelers are playing, like if the Ravens are gonna have enough to beat another good team like the Steelers, but we'll see.
If we look back to the game that they just had, it wasn't like the Ravens were getting smacked. It was a good game. Yeah, the Ravens had some good things to look at from that game, and I think if they played this next week, you might find a different result. Lamar, I really do think Lamar is learning from all these games, and I think he's going to come in hot. Especially, it's not like what Reese said earlier, like these top teams like the Chiefs and the Steelers have like anything different on defense. Everyone does the same exact thing on Lamar. So it's all about just execution at the end of the day for him. So
Mhm.
we just gotta wait and see if he could put it together.
Yeah. It's still, like I said, it's just a young quarterback with, I mean, yeah, he's struggled against good teams. It's not that, it's not anything that he
Yeah.
can't turn around. It's not any narrative that
Exactly.
he's doomed for or anything. It's not like I don't know. I'd be much worried if there was some problem with his throwing motion or some crap like that. That's
Yeah,
like
something
unfixable.
like that. That would
Yeah.
scare me more.
Or if you have like any turnover problems or something.
Yeah, like he's inaccurate and now
Mhm.
he's eternally inaccurate and now his rushing attack can't make up for it. It's like, no, like this is an accurate quarterback. He's a good quarterback, makes good decisions, and he's just a little bit off right now.
Yeah.
Staying in the same division, Cleveland Browns are third at 5-3. It's tough to really make what type of team the Browns are. Like, how do you guys feel just gauging that Cleveland team right now? They have a good record, 5-3, but are they going to do anything in the playoffs?
I
I
don't
mean,
think so.
I was gonna say I don't even know if they can get to the playoffs. Truthfully, I think I said that earlier in the year that I'm not positive if this division puts out 3 playoff teams. I know one of the divisions in the AFC is going to have to with the way that it's with the way that it's set up, they don't. Only if they do the 8-team thing. So I just don't see this AFC North putting out 3 playoff teams.
I think it's going to be a 7-team playoff, I believe.
Yeah, 7 teams. So I just don't see them sneaking in.
I mean, looking at the rest of the AFC, I think the Browns actually have a good chance because, like, you have the Dolphins that are 4-3, you have the Colts that are 5-2, Raiders are 4-3. Other than that, every other team has 1 or 2 wins. So, I think there's a decent chance that they can make the playoffs.
Even if they do make the playoffs, that playoff game is going to be. I think they'll have trouble. They're
gonna have to beat up. They're gonna have to beat out either the Ravens or the Titans to get there. Either the second place in their own division or the second place in the AFC South, and I just don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to cut you off, Bob. I just want to fight.
No, yeah, I was getting to that point. I just couldn't think of the teams.
Yeah, I was looking at the stand. I was like, dude, I had it in my head that the Browns were not gonna fucking do it. So. But I see what you're saying. Like with the team that they have, like it's not absurd that they can like obviously figure something out and go on a little bit of a run. But when I look at the other teams, and I mean, because it's correct me if I'm wrong, the 7th team is just a 3rd wild card, right? So we're just gonna have the same 4 division winners and then
3 wild cards.
Yeah, and then 3 wild cards. So
okay, I mean, let's look at it. So the Bills, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs. That's 4, right? We can assume that the Ravens are gonna make the playoffs. Colts are 5-2, probably gonna make the playoffs, right?
Oh, so you're saying okay. Well, I guess I should be arguing for the Raiders right now if I'm going to say this then, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So this gets a little bit more interesting. Then. What do you think about that, Bob? Raiders, Browns.
Raiders or the Dolphins or the Browns?
Raiders, Browns, and Dolphins are kind of all vying for that like 3rd wild card position right now.
I like the Dolphins.
Oh, dude, that's the story that we were talking about is them pushing for that 7.
Look, we all know about Cleveland's skill players, but I don't think they could make a run unless Baker somehow finds some juice and drinks the whole damn thing. He's not doing anything.
The whole damn gallon like you, Bob.
It ain't happening, dude. Like he's too inconsistent, and they pass the ball way too much, and it's just not going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, look, they like you said, skill players. They get Nick Chubb back soon. You have a pretty solid defense, to be honest. But with Baker, like your quarterback, is ultimately the one who's gonna be the one who takes you far or holds you back. I mean, look at Daniel Jones yesterday. So he's just all up to him. Like, is he gonna step up?
Who do you trust more right now? Like this season, after 8 weeks, do you trust Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr with the way that they're playing? Like forgetting everything from the seasons before.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly like that Raiders offense. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say like something about the Raiders kind of like like of those three teams, like the Dolphins are my story. That would be fun, but I feel like the
The only
Raiders
thing
are just a little bit more
the thing
consistent.
about the Raiders is their defense. Though they have their cornerbacks are like really bad apparently. So if uh, I don't know if they could pull that together, but the Browns do have a better defense than the Raiders. We can give them that. But on a coaching level, I'll give that to the Raiders for sure.
Yeah, and the Browns just, or I mean, even the Raiders haven't really been like super convincing. Like any other than that Chiefs game, really kind of shocked everybody. They've been a little
Hmm.
like lackluster. I mean, they lost to the
Underwhelming.
Patriots. They got a bad loss against the Patriots, and then I mean they got smacked by the Bucks. So I guess they've had a little bit of a tough schedule too. So maybe there's still more to learn from this team when they like they still got the Falcons, the Jets, the Colts, the Chargers. So they got some pretty easy games coming up.
Yeah,
So
their schedule definitely opens up second half of the year.
yeah, so and seeing that the Browns of like I don't know, man, just seeing Baker play the way that he does, and like you said, you ride or die with your quarterback, and he's so like he's such an emotional guy that it's such a roller coaster with him that I just don't know if we can trust him yet, and I don't
Hmm.
know if this is the year that he makes that run.
So
So I kind of like Raiders and Dolphins a little bit more, right?
The Browns schedule is Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Titans, Ravens, Giants, Jets, Steelers. So they have the Steelers and the Ravens. Titans are a good team. Other than that, not the toughest schedule in the world.
Yeah, that's not bad at all either. They just got to win. They just gotta. I mean, they got to buy this coming week, so that I'm sure that's gonna. This is honestly the perfect moment for their bye week too, because they can kind of regroup, look at what they got coming forward, and just attack it. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, Nick Chubb might be back next week.
If that defense can really become stout and be like their backbone, I think they definitely can make a push for the playoffs and maybe even win that game. Who knows? They have
Yeah.
talent.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Odell was healthy, but yeah, the offense can keep up with most teams in the league.
That could help Baker too, though. Like not having Odell, not having the pressure to get the ball to him, he could kind of like settle down and, like you said, with Chubb coming back, trust the run game, just do the bare minimum instead of try to do the most. You know?
Exactly. That offense, yeah, with Chubb and Hunt, like that's the best rushing attack in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun story to see who gets the final spot. We'll definitely have to check in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. That's gonna be a fun one to watch.
So let's see the AFC South. The Colts and Titans are both 5-2. Jaguars and Texans are 1-6. I don't really have much to say about this division. The Titans lost 2 in a row. The Colts have won 2 in a row. Honestly, I just haven't been a fan of the Colts offense, but they've been pulling out wins, to their credit, thanks to their defense. What do you guys think? What do you guys have to say about this division?
The Titans are definitely taking it. I know they have the same record as the Colts. I think that they win. Titans win that division for sure. But besides that, I don't really see a really contender in this division. The Colts is a good story this year. Philip Rivers kind of. Maybe we'll get to see him in the playoffs do some magic, but I think Titans really have a hold on this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the conversation we've been having, Dev, huh? Like you were all for the Titans, right? You were saying that they had it all wrapped up, and I was kind of for the Colts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess you got Bobby on your side there. But
Yes.
I'm pulling up the schedules for them right now, and because I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards your guys' side, where there's nothing about this Colts team outside of the defense that's like over the top convincing that they can do it. But I'm still also not sold that this is the Titans team with like that Derrick Henry can like just rush for 250, 300 yards in the playoffs and like lead them, So I'm excited about the Week 10 matchup where they're playing each other. I think that's going to tell us a lot about both teams. And until then, I'm going to ride with my Colts. I'm going to trust the defense, trust that O-line, and just I don't know. That neither team has really done anything to like sway me one way or the other, except for the fact that the defending division champs are continuing to play well, you know. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's not really much I can say other than I'm hoping the Colts still pull this one out, you know.
Let's go to the AFC West. So we have the Chiefs 7-1, Raiders are 4-3, Broncos 3-4, Chargers are 2-5. Chargers had another god awful loss at the end of the game. Again, they blow a late lead. In the game, they were up 21 points. Reese, why don't you talk about your Broncos and that comeback?
Can we talk about my Broncos? You want to talk about that 7th playoff spot, right?
2-5 or 3-4, man. You never know.
Hey man, 3-4, and we've had 3 different quarterbacks play this season. Have yet to play with a full defense squad, so I don't know, man. Don't get me too excited, but I think this might be a playoff team. No, I'm just kidding. No, if we're being real, like, this is a team that's just going to screw things up for everybody else. Like, say, the Chargers, potentially the Chiefs with, like, a top spot type of thing. Like, all I can say about the Broncos is they have a good team when they're healthy and when they're all playing together. And hopefully they'll win the bad games. But it's matchups with, like, the Raiders, you know, who are going to be fighting for that 7th spot. It's going to be matchups with them that, like, I think people should probably pay attention to. I mean, they play the Raiders and the Dolphins in back-to-back weeks. So those 2 huge games where, I mean, if the Broncos end up winning and shocking some people, they can completely not only dictate the AFC playoff picture, but then, like, slot themselves into it, you know? And as we saw this weekend with a full squad, like, they can show their inexperience in the first half, but then they can also show that they can play in the second half. So it'll be interesting seeing what they can do and whether or not they can ruin the party for some people, you know. Because I don't know if did you guys watch the game? Did you guys watch the second half?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I like what you said about them being party crashers, because they on any given week could, you know, pull an upset, but I don't know if I could believe in Drew Lock yet.
Yeah, and I think it's fair that the jury's still out on him. I don't think that he's completely proved it yet, but he's just got so much gut and so much heart, and, like, in those moments he's got that, like, knack to just, like, drive his team to victory that I'm just like, I'm fine with him as my quarterback, but I'm not going to sit here and argue that he's
the future, like, franchise leader.
Yeah, like, I definitely think he could be a solid guy for a few years, but I'm still not sold that he's, like, gonna take us to the Super Bowl or anything, you know. I mean, if we put the right pieces around him and if he could play to his potential, but he still just often shows that he's I mean, kind of like we were saying with Lamar, he kind of just shows a lot of, like, young quarterback inefficiencies, you know. So jury's still out on him, which is fair, and hopefully he can prove it in the next couple seasons, because I still think he needs time, you know.
Yeah, so he's still really, really young, you know.
Yeah, nobody needs to call for his head if he plays poorly.
Yeah, especially with all the injuries you guys have.
Yeah.
So let's move to the NFC. Start with the NFC East, and honestly, we could just keep this short. We have the Eagles that are in first place at 3-4-1. The Washington Football Team 2-5, Cowboys 2-6, Giants 1-7. So I mean, what is there to even say about this division? One of these teams is gonna make the playoffs and host a playoff game, unfortunately. And honestly, like, you know, it's probably gonna be the Eagles. You know, like, I don't see the Cowboys making a run with Andy Dalton. Sorry. Washington, I just don't think they have enough firepower to win enough games, and I think the Eagles will probably beat up on the rest of the division. What do you guys think?
Washington Football Team, I'm taking them.
Oh, wow.
The bets are out early. I think they have the best defense out of all of them, so I'm gonna go with that, because none of these quarterbacks are doing anything good. So that's pretty much I gotta say about that.
I was gonna say, Bobby, I'm actually, like, right there with you. Like, I hate every freaking team in this division, and I hate this division with, like, my whole heart. And when it comes down to it, I just think it's going to be like guts and a couple lucky wins and a couple weird performances. Like a ball bounces a weird way and they end up in
Yeah.
the in the playoffs. But just everything about this team, I just want it to be the Washington football team for Ron Rivera. So I'm going to say them and I'm going to ride with them until they're out.
Wow. All right, two WFT supporters.
Just because there's nothing like that anybody can say to argue against us right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna fight for the Eagles or anything. That's
Yeah,
not gonna
exactly.
happen right now. All I'm
Please
gonna
don't,
say
guys.
is I hate primetime television making us watch this division so many times this year. That's all I'm gonna say. Why do we need to have a Eagles Cowboys or a Giants Cowboys game every week on
Because
TV?
America's team, bro. America's team.
They get all the TV rights
Yeah, I mean it is like
all over the country.
four of the biggest markets. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
It
All right,
sucks that we're sticking to that every year.
all right, let's move on to the NFC North. Packers are 5-2, Bears are 5-3, Lions 3-4, Vikings 2-5. Packers just had a tough loss to the Vikings where Dalvin had 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the Bears had an overtime loss to the Saints. So, I mean, the Packers were running away with the division, but the Bears have been competitive. That offense, though, looks really bad in Chicago. And you feel like the Packers should be able to take care of business. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like the Packers always have these games where they just look terrible. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's because they put a bunch of freaking people out on the field that don't work with Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna look terrible when this keeps freaking happening, and when they don't bolster up their defense, they're gonna get rushed on for 4 touchdowns by one of the best running backs in the league because they have nobody to freaking stop them. And it's frustrating that they do this every damn year.
Yeah.
But they're still running away with this division because the Bears suck. And the Bears bench Mitch Trubisky a little bit too early. I don't know if you guys still feel that way, but I know he's not pretty and I know he's not a good quarterback, but he was winning football games and they benched him after a bad performance or two. And now their offense is still with Nick Foles, who is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. So
Yeah, I might have to agree with you, Reese, because I like the decision at first, but Nick Foles has looked a lot worse than I expected. Like I thought he was gonna. I'm not saying he's gonna be like Eagles Nick Foles, but like at least have some semblance of like good quarterback play. But yeah, he's just looked really bad. I don't know if it's the play calling, if it's just the weapons around him, or if it's just him himself. But yeah, that offense is just hard to watch. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, it's so underwhelming for a guy who owns David Montgomery in 2 leagues. It's because it's just tough, man. It's tough to watch that, but I think David Montgomery. They have really good skill players. David Montgomery, I think, is one of the better running backs in the league. Allen Robinson, we've all seen what he could do. It really doesn't make sense to me why they're so bad on offense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it might be Matt Nagy. Like he's just not a very good coach.
yeah.
I mean, let's go back to the Packers for a second though. Like, you know, I'm a noted Aaron Rodgers stan. But if I'm gonna be
Really?
honest, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, the Green Bay Packers they're not doing anything this year. I would be shocked if they make it to the Super Bowl. Would honestly be a little surprised if they even made it to the NFC Championship game because with that defense, they're not going anywhere. Yeah, like you said, Dalvin's one of the best running backs in the league, but that defense, another year where they just can't stop the run, like
It's bad.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
Yeah.
I would maybe pump the brakes on that, Dev, just a tad, just because the Vikings did have a bye week before this, got an extra week to prepare for the Packers, and that was literally a must win for them. If they didn't win that game, their whole season would have been wraps. So it's a week to week league. I still think the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, I mean, one of the best offenses in the league. Once they get Aaron Jones back, that's a 5 yard per carry type running back. So they'll be able to keep it with any team in the league. If they could just figure out one or two things on defense, I think they could really be tough to beat.
I mean, yeah, I don't think like they're gonna beat a team like the Buccaneers. You look at the Niners from
The
last year.
Buccaneers just almost lost to the Giants.
I mean, okay,
That, that was I think that was an attitude thing,
it was a
man. Like
trap game.
yeah, I was gonna say that was one of those trap games where they just go into it just knowing that
Talk
all
about
these
trap games.
And
That
the
was a trap
Giants,
game for the Packers.
the Giants are sneakily competitive. So that defense is actually pretty good. They're 1-7, but I think they're a lot better than what their record shows.
and Daniel
Can you
Jones.
not say the same thing about the Vikings though?
Well, yes, but
They look
look,
at the Vikings are great. I mean, they're not playing it this year, but last year they were, what, an NFC were they in the NFC championship
They
game
lost
or
to the
was
Niners in the second round. They beat the
that
Saints.
second round? But
that
that game was
defense
lit.
that defense
That
that
defense.
defense is atrocious, and they don't like that offense doesn't really move against them. That offense doesn't really do a whole lot of like it was just a bad performance all around for your defense to get picked apart and then your offense not to
Yeah,
do a
but
whole lot against one of the worst defenses in the league. Like
you can't say they're not gonna be able to beat a team like the Bucks when the Bucks almost just lost to the Giants.
I'm not gonna second that, but I do understand like I get where Deb's coming from. Like if you're watching the Packers as a Packers fan, I think it makes sense to like kind of have that sentiment that like, oh, this isn't a Super Bowl team. But then when you like take a step back and when you look at the conference and you look at the teams that they potentially have to beat, yeah, I mean, in a one-off playoff game, potentially if things flip a certain way, potentially at Lambeau, like yeah, I mean, I could see them pulling away with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
home field is definitely a different story. But
Yeah,
only got their top 5 running back for the last 2 weeks.
yeah, I think it's too soon to say that they're not a Super Bowl team, but I do think that there's a lot to worry about with this team. Like I think the Buccaneers and the Seahawks, even with the Buccaneers' performance, I think it's still a little bit more tight there, you know.
and the Buccaneers just remind me a lot of last year's Niners team in the sense that they have a great defense, and you could argue that the Buccaneers have a better offense than that Niners team from last year. And like, I just don't see the Packers coming into Tampa Bay and beating them on the road in a playoff game. And like, if they have to go into Seattle, like against Russell Wilson is going to absolutely carve up that defense, and him and DK Metcalf and Chris Carson. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Seattle's
yeah,
a different story.
it is a little premature. I'm not writing them off this year.
Yeah.
It just feels like another lost season for Rodgers and the Packers.
Yeah. And I think the Bucks team is just getting started too. We've barely cracked the surface of what kind of team they can be. So
Exactly.
I think we're gonna have a podcast like within the next 3 to 4 weeks where we're talking about them being Super Bowl favorites. Like they're just gonna have a couple performances where, and we're only halfway through the season with Tom Brady and his new team. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've had Mike Evans who's been hurt. Chris Godwin's only played like 3 games. And you have Antonio Brown on the way. So
him and Gronk are just now starting to connect like they used to. It's like it's starting to get a little scary over there.
I like that. I like what you guys are saying about that, but that doesn't really like directly result in like offensive power just because like Tom Brady still has to distribute the ball at like a high premium. And Rodgers is better than Brady right now. We could all agree on that, right?
Yes, but I like Brady's weapons and Brady's situation a little bit more right now,
right. And that defense is miles.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said a lot about like injuries for the Bucks team, but like we haven't seen Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones on the same playing field at the same time. So
like let's put it this way, like the conversation is always like, oh, 2-minute warning, you need a touchdown, like who's leading your team, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, right? Step back and 2 minutes, you need a touchdown. Which offense are you trusting? The Buccaneers offense or the Green Bay Packers offense right now?
Bruce Arians offense right now.
No. Tom Brady's offense or don't dictate this to fit your narrative.
Look at Bruce Arians decided to go for a field goal and they almost cost him the game. So like that's really things you gotta just consider.
That was the questionable, yeah, for sure.
But no, that
was just a weird game.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. Bruce Arians just wanted to get out of there. He was like, "Get this field goal, let's go home."
like we were talking about MetLife earlier, Bob. He's like, "Fuck this field." Look at this team.
Toss me my tight end.
Oh, that sucks. That's not something to laugh about.
But yeah, so there's a huge game coming up in this division: the Buccaneers and the Saints. I believe Sunday Night Football. The Saints they've looked pretty bad in some games, but they're somehow 5-2. Drew Brees, he's had some really really bad moments, but hanging in there, and they should finally get Michael Thomas back this week. You guys have any early predictions on who's going to win this game?
Bob?
Oh no, dude. The Saints have a really bad defense. I love the idea of like Michael Thomas coming back and that everything's back to normal, but I still think they have some issues that are kind of holding back that defense. I don't know if Drew Brees is really Drew Brees anymore. He looks like he can't really throw past 10 yards. It's tough to watch him throw the ball sometimes, but Alvin Kamara is a mega beast, and Michael Thomas is obviously a stud. So with those two guys, I would bet my money on them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just couldn't say it first because I love my Drew Brees and I love my Saints. But yeah, the Bucs get this. It's just gonna suck that we were all excited about this Tom Brady Drew Brees matchup, and Tom Brady's just gonna walk into the division, just take it from him like no problem, like
Yeah.
it's so disrespectful, but so much respect.
I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, the goat doing goat things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like I look at like Brady, and I'm like, I feel like he honestly deserves this. Because you look at all the weapons he had in New England, the receivers wise, like he had some of the worst receivers in the league throwing the ball to. Besides Randy Moss and like Edelman, who's the best receivers he threw to? He had Gronk too, but like even running backs.
The whole entire career of Gronk, one of the best tight ends of all time.
I mean,
receivers.
That's true. He's an offensive force, but he was also injured a lot. He's a tight end at the end of the day. And, like, look at all the running backs that Brady had, though. Like, who's the best running back he had? James White?
I don't know. I can't name one of them, to be honest.
So the conversation is going to switch from him being a system quarterback in Bill Belichick's system to him being with the best tight end of all time. It's like,
look,
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, he had Aaron Hernandez and Gronk for like 4 years. That was kind of not fair.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying about those weapons and whatever, but being a quarterback in the NFL is like to be an elite quarterback, to be the best quarterback in the NFL. It's like, as we see in our arguments that we have like in our group messages all the time, like it takes a lot to like convince everybody. Like even right now with 6 championships, like Tom Brady has not convinced everybody, so what is it going to take? Like how do you convince everybody that you're the best of all time? And when you're Tom Brady and you're doing it on 2 different teams, like regardless of having the best tight end of all time, well, one of the best tight ends of all time, like, man, I think it's just time to give credit where credit's due, And I said that when he was on the Patriots. Like, yes, he's had weapons, but he also hasn't had weapons, and he still made it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I don't know, man.
Even though those teams had great defenses, I'm
But even with those great teams and those great defenses, like if you take apart like individual games and stuff, like just as a quarterback, like leading his team to victory, like this guy was just a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
I
hate
it's kind of interesting. I've turned into like a little bit of a Brady homer, dude. I used to hate on this guy.
Yeah, I remember those days. But like these two guys, like Drew Brees and Tom Brady, are really fighting for like their legacy, like so in their career. I think it's kind of interesting to watch.
You know what's crazy? Like they've been going back and forth on like who has the most touchdowns in history. Like I think Brady just tied Drew Brees after Drew Brees took the lead on Sunday. And Brady tied him yesterday with 1 touchdown pass. So they're both like neck and neck, which is pretty cool to think about. And they're both going to be playing each other this week.
That's actually pretty cool.
So wait, who do you guys have? Who do you guys have in this matchup?
I think the Bucs. But I like the idea of Drew Brees kind of, like you said, like fighting for his legacy and giving it everything he's got and doing it on Sunday Night Football. And, yeah, I'm all for that story.
Yeah, you know, um, I gotta say the Bucks. The weather's gonna be tough. It's gonna be raining. That Tampa Bay run defense is no joke. Their secondary has actually been a little susceptible to the pass recently, so I think Michael Thomas is gonna have to have a big game if they have a chance. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Bucks here.
They just they just look like the better team, but I don't think that it's absurd to think that the Saints pull it off, you know.
No, yeah, not at
They
all.
have the best
They're
running back in the league.
And historically one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
and
that.
have you guys really been seeing Kamara's numbers? I know you guys don't look at my team that much, but like, come on.
I avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. Look, dude, this guy's getting like 10 targets a game as a running back.
I mean,
Bringing
that's
in
got
9 of them.
Thomas back though.
Yeah,
Like-
and yeah, that's true. No Michael Thomas, and that Tampa Bay run defense is arguably like the best run defense in the league. So
You don't think the Saints know that? They're gonna take him out wide, make him a wide receiver.
We'll see.
we'll see, Bob.
Bob, I like everything
I
about the
haven't,
team.
I haven't
But-
really bought in on the Bucks on that Bucks defense after what I saw yesterday.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
mean, yeah.
It-
Wayne
look-
Gallman really running up the middle like that for 5-10 yards.
hey, it's as the sign says, running backs don't matter, man. It doesn't matter who it was. They were that high. Could have been Saquon for all we care.
All right, let's move on to the NFC West. We got the Seahawks 6-1, Cardinals 5-2, Rams 5-3, Niners 4-4. This is what I believe the best division in the league. There's a chance that there's three playoff teams coming out of here. Yeah, I mean, we look, as a Rams fan, I'm just gonna say we look like trash against the Dolphins. But yeah, what do you guys have to say about like just what Russ and DK are doing?
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask this question to you guys. Who do you think is a better tandem, DK Metcalf and Russ, or D Hop and Kyler?
That's a good question.
I'll say Russ and DK just because they've had an extra year.
Yeah, I mean,
Russ is more proven.
I gotta say Russ.
But at the same time, D Hop is more proven than DK.
But I think more depends on the quarterback there to get the ball to that guy. You know, like both of those guys are gonna be available for a catch. It's in almost any situation. You know.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like every week with Russ and DK, like they're just doing something ridiculous, like just highlight reels every week.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the stats. You got D Hop, 7 games, 704 yards, 3 touchdowns. DK, 680 yards, 7 touchdowns. Like we saw last week, like it just feels like he can score from literally anywhere on the field. Like against the Niners, you're at around, I think it was like 5 or 6 defenders that had a chance on him, and he just beat them to the sideline and took it to the house. He would honestly have 8 touchdowns if it wasn't for that play where he was celebrating early and the defender popped it out.
Oh my goodness!
If you guys remember
he got
that.
blackballed for like 2 weeks after that. That was the only reason he didn't produce.
But yeah.
I would definitely say DK and Russell, though. I mean, like you said, you could just go on and on about them where, like, Kyler and D-Hop, I like it. I mean, I feel like D-Hop had a similar relationship with Deshaun, you know? Like, this is who D-Hop is. He's going to catch everything that's thrown his way, and you give him an exciting quarterback, then it's going to be fun to watch. But Russ and DK are just a little bit of,
another level right now.
yeah, a little bit of
like the thing for me is like DK is more of like Russ kind of just throwing it out there and DK runs under and catches it. But like the way that D-Hop plays, he just goes up and like highest point of the ball and just grabs and like mosses guys. And I think he's a better pass catcher than DK. Like even though he's not as fast or as strong, his catching ability is the best in the league.
Yeah. I mean, he's easily, in my opinion, he's easily the best wide receiver in the league, and it's like not even a question right now.
Really? Better than Devontae?
Yeah, probably. And mostly because if you look at the Devontae thing, Devontae's got the goat thrown to him. Like as Bobby says, like the things that DeAndre does, like just as a pure pass catcher and whatever you want to take the route running, everything else into it, like I'd rather have D Hop out there almost.
Yeah, and when you
I,
look at the list of quarterbacks throwing him the ball before Deshaun, it's like it's really really
Mhm.
sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just trust D Hop to go up. Okay, we're in the red zone. I trust D Hop to go up and get it. Okay, we got to throw a 30-yard, slant or something like that. I trust D Hop to get it. Just third down, 3rd and 4, you need him to catch the ball. Like I just feel like I take D Hop in almost every situation,
Exactly.
which doesn't take away from Devontae. I can love that guy, but
Looking at the Seahawks, they're obviously one of the best teams in the league. Do you guys think that they're Super Bowl favorites, contenders coming out of the NFC, or is there some team in the NFC that's going to stop them?
I mean,
I think they're the favorites.
I was gonna say right now I think it's easy to say that they're the favorites, but
With how explosive they've been playing.
yeah, but still, I mean, their own division can bite them if they end up having to see the Cardinals in the playoffs or even the Rams in the playoffs. That's going to be their 3rd time around seeing one of those teams.
If they could stay healthy, if that defense could stay healthy as it is right now, I think they have a right to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and yeah,
With all the injuries this year, I think it's really between, the Bucks, Packers, and the Seahawks in the NFC.
who
Yeah,
goes into Seattle and still doesn't win?
I would definitely say those are the best three teams in the NFC. I don't like that Seahawks defense at all, though. I feel like they just give up points and yards at the.
But if you look at those points, they're usually when the Seahawks are up so much in the first half, the defense slows down. Of course that in trash time they're gonna give up some points.
Yeah, but it's still too many. I get what you're saying, but I still think they do need to clean that up a little bit because they just I mean they could be up 17, 10 points. I mean look at the fucking Falcons. When you're in the
How many
playoffs,
points they've given up?
yeah, when you're in the playoffs, you're playing against good teams. Those crunch time points could be all the difference.
Yeah. They've given up 2 more points in the Saints defense, so that's saying quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're still my favorite, but yeah, I think that defense needs to play better because if the offense isn't putting up 35 points a game, then they're kind of screwed sometimes. So.
Yeah.
I know I'm biased, obviously, as a Rams fan, but what do you guys think of just looking at this Rams team right now? 8 games in.
They have all the talent in the world, but if Jared Goff doesn't get his head out of his ass, then they're not doing anything. Last week was the worst I've ever seen him play.
Pretty awful game. I think he had 3 picks and 2 fumbles.
We're talking up the Dolphins. Yeah, they're solid at best. Jared Goff should be, going for 300 yards and 3 tutties with his contract. So, yeah, it's on him.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty, like you said, solid weapons on offense and defense. I feel like we're almost like the Browns of the NFC. It's just gonna be depending on the quarterback on who's gonna take us that far. I feel like the Colts are like the Bears of the AFC. Also, I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
that's fair. But you guys have way more. I mean, you guys have been there, so.
Yeah, that's true, and I believe more in McVay and his system, and that defense looks pretty good. So.
Yeah, dude. If Jared Goff can put it around, I think that'll look really good for you guys. But he's stinking it up.
Yeah. Yep.
I worry about the schedule coming up too. A lot of tough crunch time games. And
yeah.
Like you said,
what do you think happened, Dev? Where do you think Jared? Do you think he got paid and just stopped practicing? Because that's what I think.
I think he's just very inconsistent. Last year we had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, and we saw him really struggle because he needs a clean pocket to really, play well. But when he has a clean pocket, which we saw earlier this year and the Super Bowl season, he looks like a great quarterback. Um, you look at his numbers in the Super Bowl year; he was putting up, you know, 35 touchdowns, 10 picks. So it's just like he has to. He's still really young. He's only 25, 26. Just find his rhythm. Actually, like master the McVay offense. Kind of take the training wheels off a little bit. And just trust his weapons at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, Bobby, on the getting paid thing. I just think he didn't have much to prove after he got that contract, and
We paid him way too early.
yeah, he's not like I don't think he's some like shallow guy who was like all about the money or anything, but I just think it took a little bit of the incentive to just work his ass off that he had before, and it sucked because I was rooting for him, and I still think he can turn it around, but he's just got to find that drive again.
Yeah, we have some tough games coming up: the Seahawks, Bucks, Niners, Cardinals, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Cardinals. So, these next couple games are really going to decide if we're playoff material or not.
I like the defense, though. I think the defense can really keep you guys in the picture, and if Goff kind of gets his head back on straight after the bye week, then
yeah, that's the one thing that really makes us feel like we can be a contender for sure. Is that
Jalen Ramsey, I think he's definitely a stud. But haven't you guys been giving up how many points you guys have been giving up on defense? Because from what I'm seeing, it hasn't been that great, but I just wanted to compare it.
I don't have it up in front of me right now.
We give up 152 points.
Yeah, that's really good. It's one of the not as good as the Cardinals. Cardinals have a good defense apparently.
Yeah, I mean points given up is kind of like halfway through the season. It's like maybe they've had an easier schedule than other teams, but yeah, I mean,
still not bad though.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And just from the eye test, the defense, they make plays. They're a force to reckon with. Obviously, with any defense with Aaron Donald is going to be a force to reckon with. But even with the talent they have on the outside, I think it's one of the best defenses in the league. So I know you don't want to be too much of a homer, Dev, but I'll at least give that to you.
I appreciate that. So before we wrap things up, I'd like to have our fantasy check-in. I honestly don't even want to do this with the way my season's been going, but anything for the content. So, Bob, I know you want to start off first, so please go ahead.
I'm sitting pretty at a measly 8-0 in our league. We just had rivalry week, and I beat my good old friend Kevin.
Good old friend Kevin.
Yeah, so
Friend of the
gotta
pod.
keep it together. Lost my star tight end in Kittle, but you gotta roll with the punches. So that's
Bob,
all I gotta say.
do you have a player you hate from last week? Player you love from last week?
No, I just want to say, what was the field that Kittle got hurt on?
MetLife. CenturyLink in Seattle.
CenturyLink field, yeah. Screw that field. Hurting my player. Yeah.
A player you love? Mahomes?
A player I truly love. George Kittle, one of the most charismatic guys you can ever see.
Oh, man. All right. Enough of Bob. Reese, you have anything?
By the way, I'm going for my third chip.
Oh.
Bob, shut up. All right, you're done. Your time's up.
Don't make me mute you.
Don't make the moderator get involved. All right. Well, I'm sitting at a measly 6-2 in second place, right behind Bobby. So I don't have much to complain about either, except for the fact that my team sucks, and I haven't scored any points in the league. But we're not going to get into that because the audience doesn't need to know that. The player I love is Travis Fulgham, who has been the savior of my team and the waiver wire ad of the year, and has won my matchup for me 2 weeks in a row, and this week against Case in rivalry week. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So that's an easy player I love because he was free, and any of you guys could have had him, but you guys were all sleeping, so now I have him.
You know,
I
Eagles wide receiver.
honestly saw him and I was like, this guy looks like a bunch of trash. Just honestly based off his name. Never gave it a second look, and next thing I know, he's starting to use.
Yeah, I just when I look at an Eagles wide receiver, I keep scrolling.
Hey, Dev, you're a stat guy, right?
I do like my numbers.
All right, so fantasy football stat for you. Last 4 weeks. You guys want to know who wide receiver 1 in the NFL is of the last 4 weeks?
Who?
Travis Fulgham.
Wow.
That's pretty hard.
Wow. Right? Isn't that crazy? I heard that stat this morning, and I was just like,
Wait, how is that possible with Metcalf?
because he's been ridiculous. Fulgham's been Metcalf had a bye, didn't he?
He also had like a 4-point game against the Cardinals.
9, 16, and 26 for Fulgham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Metcalf put like 3 or 4 points against the Cardinals.
That makes sense. But still, that's actually a good. And that honestly, no, that was before the Seattle game. So that had to have been with Metcalf. So I was like, shit, is there a hole in this? All right, but anyways, player I hate is. Can I just say everybody else on my team?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Let's go with Dude, could I have the same player I hate for every single time you've asked me this question, Dev?
Go ahead.
Mark Ingram. Fuck that guy. I drafted him as my RB2, and he has not. Let's see. The best this guy has done this year was 14 points in week 2 and 10 points in week 4. Outside of that, he hasn't broken 5 points. 5.
It must hurt too because it looks like J.K. Dobbins is pretty good.
Yeah, I heard about this running back by committee thing, but I didn't believe it, and it bit me in the ass. So yeah, there you go. There's my same player I hate for every week that you asked me this question.
So it was a pretty rough week for me. Rivalry week, I lost to my brother Shiv. Not only did I lose, I lost by 1.4 points, which is even more salt in the wound. And in my other matchup, I lost by 0.08 points. So it's just been that kind of year, I guess. But yeah, a player I hate has to be easily Rashard Higgins. I picked him up off the waivers. Odell got hurt, so I'm like, hey, this guy, he'll get some targets. But he got me a good old 1.9 points in 2 leagues. So shout out to him. Player I love, though, Damian Harris. He had 100 yards and a touchdown. Patriots running back is actually playing well. I started him in 2 leagues, so shout out to him. I hope he can have 2 touchdowns against Reese and the Jets.
Wait, I didn't get to do a person I love.
I asked you, Bob.
It's okay, Bob.
I only did my hated players.
You said George Kittle.
Bob, your time's up.
Oh, I did. I did.
If you want somebody else, go ahead. Since your boys.
I just want to throw a little Mahomes magic out there.
Oh.
Take Mahomes.
I haven't heard of him.
Oh, you haven't heard of Patrick? Guys, the GOAT.
Fuck you, Bobby. We don't care about Patrick Mahomes.
I'm trying to unmute him, but I can't.
Oh, he actually muted him.
Sorry, Bob.
Get out of here with that.
I was trying to unmute you.
Speech on election day. What? You're gonna take that from me?
Look, Bob, you're 8-0, all right? Leave us alone.
I gotta send that in the chat more often. It just instantly happens. That was funny. Yeah, no, but honestly, Bobby, we don't need to hear your players you love when you're 8-0 and have the most points for in the league. You love all of them, bro.
James Robinson, pickup of the year if you want to talk about pickups.
Dude, for real, man. That guy is a league winner.
Not every year you get an RB1 off the waivers.
Yeah, I got really lucky. Yeah, honestly, I just saw that there was like they didn't know who was gonna start in the running back at that running back spot. So I just took a flyer on James Robinson. I had no idea. I just saw he was a rookie. Great decision on my part.
Yeah. Right now it's crunch time in fantasy. You know, we have like what 5 weeks left in the regular season. So a lot of crucial games coming up. Our league is really competitive right now. You know, so many teams that are 4-4, 5-3, right there fighting for the eight team playoffs. So it should be fun. Um, yeah, I mean, shit.
Good luck to you all.
Sweet, Bob.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Reese, Bob, thanks for being here on election night. We're halfway in the NFL season. I'm really excited to see how playoff picture shapes up. Remember, you can follow us on all of our social pages: DJ Sports Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Reach us for any questions at our email, djsportspod@gmail.com. And take care. Catch you guys later.
See you.